Hi, it's Michelle Greenwell with Dance Debut, and I'm here today to celebrate with Beatrice Bernstein as we go forward with some of the things that she's working on for wellness around the globe. And so I'm glad that she's going to be able to share some of her insights with us and lead us down a new road that's happening as the evolution of self-care for dancers is happening. Thanks for joining us, Beatrice.
Thank you so much, Michelle. It's an honor to be here speaking with you. Thank you for joining our project, first and foremost. I'm very excited to announce that Michelle Greenwell has accepted to come aboard the leadership team, and she will be helping our project to expand into Canada. So I'm Beatrice Bernstein. I am the founder and managing director of the Healthy Young Dancer Project, along with co-founder and medical director, Dr. Nikki Key, and Dr. Stephanie Patrick is our medical co-director, and she's on the leadership team in Australia. And the wonderful just blessing to have everybody joining everywhere. And I announced that Gerard Martin is our associate founding director, and Andrea Basil is our project manager, and she's on the leadership team in America. She's the founder of the 5-Point Dancer Method, which we are celebrating that we are going to be incorporating and expanding upon for our global enterprise to help with injury prevention and rehabilitation for young dancers worldwide. And Maggie Lorraine's story, we are so delighted to share, is at the head of the Australian chapter as well. She's on the leadership team. And what makes this all so incredible is all of the minds that are coming together, such as Akira Kawasaki, the strength and conditioning coach from Houston Ballet, and Shonek Robles-Merck, who has a beautiful school in Switzerland where she teaches a mixture of spiral dynamic and ballet. Anna Marie Auter, who has her method, Ballet Body Logic, which you'll be very excited to learn, lets the balance take care of itself. And too many more names to mention. We're all coming together in an effort to share information and make really clear information available for young dancers and their families that is peer-reviewed and verified. So we have physical therapists, we have holistic care specialists, we have doctors, teachers, directors, students, parents, all involved in our community so that we're all talking together about what change is needed to happen, what information is needed, and to really be in a very clear message that we are here as a support. We all love our dance world. We think it's beautiful and we love it. And we're not here in any way to criticize anyone. This is about creating a really safe space to have conversations, to get the answers that people need. So this project came about because I was working with many students over the past 20 years now. Can't believe I'm almost 40. I started in my 20s working with fellow dancers as a gyrotonic and gyrokinesis instructor. And I found that many of my students just had a lot of questions about self-care in a way that in some sense really surprised me. Such questions as, should I be pushing through the pain I'm feeling from the stress fracture in my foot? These were the kinds of questions that I really felt, not only was I not qualified to answer, but that there needed to be much more awareness in the world about what was the difference, for instance, between good pain and bad pain. And there were all these different elements of these sessions with my young dancers I would take notes and I would say, okay, you know, if this young dancer has this question, how many other young dancers has this question? And so that was basically the beginning, is I started seeing where there was a lack of information, what I could do to help. I was a professional dancer, and as a trained gyrotonic and gyrokinesis instructor, I did have quite a lot of rehabilitation and injury prevention knowledge. I also made it a priority to take many different courses. I did all of Paul Horvath's therapeutic gyrotonic application courses as well. If there was a lecture about injury prevention, I would be attending. You know, I'm a member of IADAMS. I really made an effort to educate myself as much as I could. But I realized that I needed to start having a team to refer dancers to already at that young age in my 20s. And I started doing that already at that age. If a dancer who was a student of mine, if I suspected that they had an eating disorder, I would make it known without pointing it out, because that's a very delicate situation, that if they needed to talk, I was there as a support. And then I would involve their parents, and then I would help them get the support they needed, because I knew that that was out of my area of expertise. And this is also where the idea for this project started. So that's why I'm sharing that, because already in New York, I had a very small circle of professionals, an eating disorder specialist, a osteopath, a physiotherapist, a medical doctor, who I would refer my students to when I realized things were outside, as I said, my area of expertise. Then when I started teaching at San Francisco Gyrotonic and working with the Alonzo King Lines dance program, I had a really wonderful experience there to yet again increase my knowledge and my awareness working on the team there at San Francisco Gyrotonic. And I learned a lot more techniques. Deborah Rose has a wonderful technique for releasing the tension through your whole leg with a tennis ball. And I thought, all dancers need to know about this. And different little tools like that. And again, I put it into my little notebook. You know, what could be helpful to dancers? If it can be helpful to this dancer, it can be helpful to countless dancers. And then I started coaching a wonderful team of students. I call them a team because we really were working as a team to actually sort out how self-care could be just implemented in their training throughout their training years. And I wanted them to have agency. So that's why I say a team. We were a team together. I had about 7 dancers ages 12 to 18, and I cared for them as part of their rehabilitation and injury prevention for 3 years. And over that time, their injuries went down, their self-care awareness increased. I had 2 students who had eating disorders, which resolved. I had one of my students who had a stress fracture that healed, and she had an opportunity to then go back to YGAP, and she medaled. And of course, we were working in combination with her medical care. I always say you must take the advice of your supervising doctor. Holistic wellness has a beautiful relationship with self-care and rehabilitation, but I'm a firm believer that medical care must always be respected at the same time, especially with dance injuries. And so over this 3 years, I saw an amazing improvement in their awareness, in their ability to self-care, a decrease in their injuries, an increase in their confidence. And it was just a wonderful experience to be there as a mentor for these students as well. And I developed relationships with their families. They would have me come in on Sundays and give rehabilitation ballet technique classes. The first thing I would do is I'd have them take off their shoes, sit on the floor, wiggle out their ankles, wiggle out their feet. You know, we would do foot openings from gyrokinesis. And then when they would stand up, to take their turnout, we would work on functional rotation. So I basically started doing functional anatomy-based technique classes, and then working with gyrotonic principles such as stability through contrast and equal distribution of force to help them understand how they could be thinking dancers. So if they had, if they had challenges in their technique, how they could find ways, instead of just saying, oh, my hips are tight and I'm never gonna have the extension the way I want it, instead of having that negative lens, we would start seeing positive ways that they could increase their desired technique. So if, for instance, if extension was an issue, we would do a lot of psoas strengthening exercises in the gyrotonic studio, and we would find all of these really positive solutions for whatever it was that they needed to improve to be able to succeed. And then when I had the wonderful opportunity to go to Europe and to continue dancing professionally, I was still dancing professionally at the time that I was teaching, but I was doing more guesting. I had taken a break from company work, and I was doing my BFA degree at the LEAP program at that time. And when I went to Europe, my students said to me, what are we gonna do? And I said, well, you're gonna find another teacher and I'll introduce you. They're amazing trainers at San Francisco Gyrotonic. You're gonna be just fine. And they said, but everything you tell us is more than just the gyrotonic lesson. And I think that was the first time that I realized, to me, I was just doing what I felt the students needed. And I perhaps didn't quite understand just how much it meant to them until I was having to say goodbye. And I said, well, don't worry, I'll put it all down in a book. And that was about, wow, that was about 10 years ago now. And I did put it all down in a book as my senior project for LEAP, and I was even invited to present about it at the International Association of Dance Medicine and Science, and I had a great honor to present on the main stage, and there were about 300 people in the audience, and I got a standing ovation, and so many people came up congratulating me, saying all of these topics about injury prevention and rehabilitation for young dancers really need to be a current conversation. And it was a conversation that's just never stopped, which I'm very happy to say. But the reason I didn't even seek publication of the book is I realized that the information I had in it, even though I had amazing contributions from a few very top-notch professionals, I don't want to minimize the contribution they made to the senior project, but I just realized that I had one lens, career trajectory, and very ballet focused. And I wanted to have more integration of other dance backgrounds, and we were pretty medical model based as well. And the holistic side was in there a little bit with gyrotonic gyrokinesis and humana body rolling, but I knew that we needed to have more layers to the material, and being at IADMS really opened my eyes to that, because I went to all of the talks, and that was the first time that I'd really been immersed in this kind of brilliance. And that's where I met Anna Marie Auter, who is part of our project now and a good friend, I'm very honored to say, and Lisa Howell and Emma Redding and Tony Thatcher from Trinity Le Bon. And that's where my first introduction to the idea of going to Trinity Le Bon happened as well. So I'm very happy to say that I'm doing my MFA in creative practice at Trinity Le Bon now as well. And everything that I've learned there, learning about Anna Halprin and learning about this whole holistic side of healing through dance, and Margie Gillis and all of these amazing people, has just reinforced my feeling that we needed a comprehensive team. And so when I spoke at IADMS, that was in 2014, we're now in 2020. For the past 6 years, I have been learning and making contacts with people, and I'm just so honored to say that I really feel that our team is ready to now write these books from a very balanced, fully integrated and represented on a very high professional level, both on the medical and the holistic side, which having you, Michelle, as part of our writing team is just an absolute honor. I have to say that one more time.
Thank you. It's an honor to be brought in.
Great. And we also have dancers all over the world who are writing in their stories, their testimonials. And when I mean all over the world, I mean all over the world. So we're getting really a good idea what the needs are. Because again, when I wrote my senior project, it was addressing pretty much North America and maybe Canada. And then from having so many international people joining the project now, we're starting to understand about different foot shapes in different countries and how that affects point shoe health and, you know, climate issues and all these different factors that really need to be represented in order for our statement that we are an inclusive global community to ring true. We really need to know what's happening all over the world so that we can make sure that everyone's needs are being addressed. And so that's why the project has become so international, is because that ethos of wanting to be inclusive and to make sure that if there's a question, and say the core team here in London, which also has Carolyn Krell and Tim King and many other amazing professionals, Lori and Mark Slaughter. If we don't have the answer, then somebody in our international team will. So that's really another point of the project, is that we're creating an information superhighway, basically. Because here in London, we could have a student from anywhere in the world who comes into our practice. And if they have a concern that we're not familiar with, then we need to be able to reach out to someone in our Healthy Young Dancer Project Network and say, you know, we have this dancer here from Canada, you know, I get you on the phone and say, you know, this is what their concern is, and we need a little extra help and support, understanding what the background is, so that we can, especially if it's something having to do with an eating disorder or anxiety or depression, you really have to know the background of where the dancer's coming from if you're going to be able to be the support that they need. And so we take this very seriously, that we don't have all the answers. I'm going to say that one more time. We do not think that we have all the answers. We are educated in the area we are educated, and to the best of our ability, we help. But if we don't know something, we feel very confident that either we will firsthand know someone who can help, or that through the Healthy Young Dancer Project, through this community, that we will be able to support any dancer that walks through our door. And to give you an example, I recently coached a young dancer from Australia who got to me by way of the Healthy Young Dancer Project Network. She went to an open class in Berlin and worked with my coach, Jo Siska. Well, for me, having the last 5 years of my dance career, I met him in my 30s, thinking I was about ready to retire. And he said, oh no, Beatrice, you're not. You just need a little bit of retraining and to stop slamming your body around so much. You got a few more years in there still. And he helped yet again at 30. I retrained my technique under the watchful eye of Jo. He's an amazing teacher. And so this dancer had gone to take open class with him, and he was very taken with her, and she was over from Australia. She was doing an audition tour, and she needed a bit of help and guidance, and she was coming to London next. So Yo called me to let me know that his student was coming. She came to London, and we had some gyrotonic sessions. I did some coaching with her. She wasn't very sure of her confidence. That was the only issue. She is an absolutely gorgeous dancer. And after we had our sessions together, she then went to Germany and was immediately offered a guest contract with a big company. Because of COVID, unfortunately, that didn't actually end up coming to fruition. But within, I want to say 3 weeks, she already was offered a full contract for next season. Now, she's very talented. I'm sure she could have gotten there by herself. But the support she had, first working with Yo in Berlin, and then the recommendation, and I worked in Germany as well, so I knew a lot about the German system. I could coach her on how to wear her hair, what to wear in the audition so that she fit into the German aesthetic, things like that. And basically I just held the space for her to talk about her anxieties about being a young dancer looking for a job. And then I spent several sessions just telling her how beautiful and gorgeous she was and to let herself shine, so I'm really absolutely thrilled that we can support dancers in this way. And the same thing with Dr. Stephanie Potrek. She does Oz Dancers Overseas. And so she has dancers all over the world who are from Australia, but who then are over here in Europe, are over in the UK. And through her, I've also been put into contact with other dancers who I've personally helped or referred on to others within the community. And so we just really want to create this feeling that we are the Healthy Young Dancer Project community. That's the most important message. And the way we describe it is that we focus on teaching dancers of all genres and ages and ethnicities to feel and respect their bodies through self-care, as well as supporting dancers of all ages to have a strong sense of agency. We especially focus on teaching young dancers this skill from as early an age as possible. We also focus on having a deep impact in relation to dancers and their families to feel empowered by knowing that they are receiving verified, peer-reviewed information that they can trust. Because those of us on the leadership team are really concerned with things like Googling about injuries, and even looking at things like Instagram and getting incorrect sense of how you should stretch, getting an incorrect sense of how you should eat from social media. And so we really are very determined that through communicating and collaborating, and by communicating, we mean with the directors, with the teachers, with the parents, with the dancers. We want this, with the medical, with the holistic. We want this to be a whole, open, and very positive conversation. Because with the advancements of science, we are convinced that with very small changes, the next generation, and even the current generation, can be a lot happier and healthier and have fewer injuries. And one of the big topics that I really would like to talk about is that if any young dancer out there is not having their period and not going through puberty, for male or female dancers, that this is a medical condition. And Dr. Nikki Key has a lot of wonderful information about this. So this is one of our big concerns, because if young dancers don't go through puberty, then they are set up to have injury and ill health, potentially for the rest of their lives.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And so we are really hoping that through teaching more skills about self-care, and we have a whole list of topics that I could go through. We're really doing a comprehensive detailing of information in the books we're writing. But the main point is that self-care is not optional. And it shouldn't be at any age. We all need a constant reminder of that.
Mm-hmm.
And my young dancers, their questions all seem to be around self-care, and it just seems they're not necessarily receiving that as part of their training. And I don't think it's through a lack of the teachers wishing them to know. I just don't think there's enough time on the school syllabus a lot of the time. There are a few schools that have excellent injury prevention programs. You know, I'm not criticizing anyone. I'm saying the students I have had over the past 10 years have questions about self-care. So if they were getting the information, they wouldn't be having those questions. And so it's just really important that we create an environment, a safe space for conversations, and realize we're all on the same team. You know, directors want healthy dancers. Parents want their children to be healthy and to succeed. And with just a bit more information about the advancements of science in terms of fueling and rest and all these things, you know, young dancers are going to just have a fuller ability to access their own true potential. We are all about optimum performance, but we need to give dancers the toolkit to really shine, which you can't do if you're hungry and exhausted and overworked. It just, those two things are incompatible. So I hope this answers some of your questions.
Beautiful. It's good. It's gives a good insight to everyone, and you know, to think globally, and being in the isolation form, however much longer we are, particularly in the arts world, because it's harder for us to get back into some things, depending on what kind of art we're practicing. But to be able to know that there's this global community that's ignited and is ready to move forward is fantastic. So thank you, Beatrice.
I'm so glad to hear that. And also, I would like to share on that note that we have over 700 members in our private Facebook community, the Healthy Young Dancer Project. And it's only private so that we're sure that the people joining have a common vision, and everybody's welcome. It is inclusive. So anyone who wants to join, please do. It's on Facebook at the Healthy Young Dancer Project. And we're also on Twitter and Instagram at the acronym THYDP_Beatrice. And we very much wish to give thanks to all of the great teachers, all of the directors who've guided us, all of the healers, all of the doctors, everybody who is working towards this same aim. We have nothing but utmost respect for everyone who is working towards dancer health. And we truly believe this is a team effort. And so if you wish to be a part, whoever's listening out there, and we haven't thought to invite you, it's not because you're not wanted. We just might not know you yet. So please get in touch.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. And the best wishes as the next parts of the project unfold. I know there's lots of great pieces being pulled together. So thank you, Beatrice.
Well, I have a great team. I have to say, I feel truly blessed and loved. And I merely had the idea, and the idea now belongs to the community.
It's great. Great. Thank you.